This was like life-changing good. This is so amazing.
Are you familiar with the Banana Death Squad story?
Grape doesn't taste like grape. It tastes like purple, and I can't explain it.
Welcome to the show. I stole it from you, man.
You stepped on my
I stole it. I stole it.
So, if you listen to last week's episode, ironically, so Mike and I, we've just been marathon recording this because we got to get recorded.
Yep.
But we didn't talk about what we anticipated talking about last week. And obviously you heard by the intro, Phil's here.
Yeah.
So he finally got done putting in the
boat motor installation. That was fun.
Yeah. So perfect timing, literally right in time to start the next episode. And so we'll do full episode. But man, last week's episode was
it was heavy.
Yeah, it was good. I'm really glad we had that conversation. I'm glad it was out there.
I'm looking forward to listening to it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Was not what we were planning on talking about, but hey, we've done that enough times on this show. It's like we just roll with it. Do what you got to do.
Yep.
Oh yeah. So
I wasn't here
Phil,
for the can popping.
So he's got to open this one.
So
solo.
Ooh, that was a good one.
That was not bad. That's going to be a tough call.
All right.
It almost had
spilled on my hand.
It had like a little tick, 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 tick to it. That was not sure how he did that.
That was good.
Right.
I have such an awkward angle in this kind of corner to try to get it behind the mic.
Exactly. You're at a disadvantage. But yeah.
Why does grape everything taste so good?
Dude, do you like the grape C4?
This is fire. This is fantastic.
I haven't tasted anything grape energy drink that I didn't like. Like grape is my go-to.
Yeah,
it's good.
I loved it. Have you seen the meme that says like grape doesn't taste like grape? It tastes like purple, and I can't explain it.
For real though, because grapes
accurate.
do not.
They don't taste like grapes.
No, it doesn't taste.
But I think we've accepted that that's the flavor of grape because we've tasted it so long.
That's
it's the same thing with strawberry.
It's not the flavor of a grape.
Strawberry flavoring does not taste like what strawberries taste
Correct.
like.
Right.
You know, it's the same thing. We've kind of accepted it, but it's not.
Actually, most of them don't.
Oh yeah, watermelon's way off from what watermelon actually tastes like. Yeah.
Now the question is, when they originally created that flavor, did it taste like them? And now our fruits just taste different than they did 100 years ago. Because supposedly banana is supposedly based off of the
old bananas.
Old bananas. I can't remember what they were called.
Yeah.
But there was blight or something, and it like almost took them all out. You can still buy that type of banana, but they're
and they
hard to get.
Aren't like all bananas are from the same DNA strain as that.
They're clones.
Barely, like they almost went extinct.
Yeah. And so then they had to pivot and mass created took a different breed that hadn't been affected by it. And now that is the common.
Do you think they have any of the original bananas in the Smithsonian?
Probably. They do have an entire warehouse of frozen things.
Are you familiar with
they keep frozen.
Are you familiar with the Banana Death Squad story? No?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we talked about it.
I was going to say, I feel like we might have talked about that at some point. But
are you familiar with it? Do you remember?
No, it sounds fun, though. I don't know what.
I don't remember the details well enough to give you a good explanation, but
basically Chiquita Banana basically overthrew a government, I think.
Oh yeah, like that. I remember you guys talking about
something along those lines in order to ensure that their prices stayed low.
Wendigoon had a good video on it breaking the whole thing down.
I think we did talk about it in a past episode.
I think there's been a couple where you brought it up. Yeah, so I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, for sure.
It just sounded cooler when he called it the Banana Death Squad.
Yeah, it's a great name.
I think I stole that from Wendigoon. I think that was the title of his video.
I think that's the official term for the event.
I believe that is correct.
It is, yeah.
In the ancient days of giants, when the earth was wild and free, a creature roamed the valleys, cloaked in mystery. Is he born of angels' blood and man, a Nephilim so tall, or a shadow of the fallen, yet heeding the Maker's call? He's a biblically accurate Bigfoot, with a lineage from the skies. Not a myth or legend, but a truth that never dies. Is he a remnant of the Nephilim, a titan standing tall? Or does he have the word of God upon him, the last to hear the call?
Okay, speaking of banana death squads, I don't know how to.
There is no segue.
How do you transition from there? Yeah.
So, have you heard of the Pizza Index?
Yes.
Okay, have you ever heard of the Pizza Index?
That's not the full title of it.
Well,
but that gives it away. The full title of it gives it away.
The Pizza Index is the short form term for it.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
People just know what you're talking about
Yes,
when you say that.
it's the short form.
If they know.
Yeah.
If you know, you know. If you don't, we're about to inform you.
The full term is the
Pentagon
Pizza Index.
I'm intrigued.
So somebody
Take a
went
guess
through
what that means.
Yeah, give a guess.
I've got a guess.
Yeah,
Okay, Pentagon Pizza. It sounds maniacal, but at the same time sounds fairly innocent.
It's exactly what it sounds like.
The Pizza Index.
Put it that way.
It is exactly what it sounds like. Yeah.
The Pentagon.
What do you think the connotations with that are?
Pizza Index.
Okay, I don't know.
Okay, so
I'm drawing a blank.
What does the Pentagon do?
Lots of secret government stuff.
And military.
Right, yeah.
Head military. Okay. So when everybody has to stay late at the office, what do they typically eat?
Pizza.
So somebody went through and figured out that right before war and right before giant military
when it's
events,
about to hit the fan,
all of the pizza places around the Pentagon get a ton of orders in. And they've literally gone through and created algorithms and profiles.
They have a tracker.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you guys heard, which now this is timing.
That's a very big brothering the big brother kind of thing. Literally. That's kind of cool. Yeah.
So this should have been last week's episode because
it's the most basic way to track.
Right. For real.
When it's about to get so stupid.
Dumb. But yeah, there would be a week gap. So a lot has probably happened since this happened because this episode will come out next week. But so Trump left the G7 summit early and told his cabinet to be ready for him in the war room when he got back yesterday.
Right.
The Pizza Index of the Pentagon spiked like haven't seen in 20 years, like spiked.
Like
so crap's about ready to hit the fan military wise. Like something's going to happen. And then we got obviously everything going on in overseas in the Middle East. Something big's about to happen. And I guess China told all of their citizens in those countries, which I'm not even going to say the countries because saying the countries' names is shadow banned on stuff right now. I don't know why.
Oops. Yeah.
But yeah, it's whatever. I think repeatedly saying it increases your risk of being shadow banned.
I think
if you just say it once, I think you're good. But China, I guess, went and told all of their employees in those countries to be on the very first flight out, or they're responsible for their own rescue costs. And so now, and then you have the Pentagon Pizza Index. Now, the Pentagon Pizza Index is never wrong either.
So would it be fair to say that like the No King protests and all that stuff are kind of trying like as a distraction? That's
absolutely. I think
see what you guys do to me. Like you guys mess me up when you throw stuff like
aliens
that.
Didn't work. Let's have riots. They didn't care.
And even if the No Kings protests weren't a psyop, the fear mongering that went with it was.
Yeah.
The stay at home on this date because there's going to be an event. Meanwhile, the Pentagon is ordering boatloads of pizza from every pizza place around the Pentagon.
Right. Yeah.
And it's
that's interesting. That's very interesting.
It's dumb. The only thing that I can think of once you bring up fast food and the Pentagon is the stupid McDonald's at the Pentagon song. Do you remember that? Like a couple months ago?
The what?
You didn't hear that song?
Sing it for us.
McDonald's at the Pentagon.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I was going to say, surely there's no way you missed that. There is 0% chance.
That's why I didn't hear you sing it. No, for sure though. Yeah, it's such a random thing, and I remember coming across it back in the day, and it popped up again, and I was like, "Oh,
it's a stupid accurate tracker.
It's so
it's
accurate.
Ridiculous.
It makes so much sense.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like it's so basic.
Like if I wanted to like track. Think about this like on a lower scale. Like if I go to order pizza and there's like a 45-minute wait, I start thinking about what sport event is on TV tonight. Yeah. Like I can track sports events like that.
Right.
Why wouldn't I be able to track, government events
well,
like
and
that? That's interesting.
Even thinking practically through it, it's because they're staying late and everybody's got to eat. But how do you get everybody food?
Right.
Quickly.
And pizza can sit in boxes for hours and be fine. Like you can eat when you can eat kind of thing. Yeah.
And you can call in a pizza place and be like, hey, I need 45 pizzas. And they're not going to be like, what? Like they're like, all right, give us an hour.
Do that? Yeah.
We'll call in somebody and we'll get it done. Like the only place I've ever been to that is even remotely close to that is Raising Cane's. We called into a Raising Cane's.
You want Cane's. Dang you.
We called into a Raising Cane's at Winter Conference, and we were like, we need 300 chicken strips. And they were like, all right, give us 10 minutes. And I was like, what? Can we come pick it up in an hour? Like I was anticipating a wait.
Yeah.
But then if you think about it, their menu, and that's what
all
the pizza place is. Everything's pizza.
Yeah.
Shout out Cane's, sponsor us. Send me a 55-gallon drum of your lemonade.
You can buy cups of their sauce too when you go through. But anyway,
sorry.
The menu is so the menu is so small that it's not going to impact their routine and pizza's kind of the same thing. Everything's pizza.
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A.
Toppings.
Well, it's part of the reason that like Mexican restaurants are so easy to get going because it's the same five ingredients
everywhere.
Just put together differently.
Our local, this is so random. I don't even care. Our local Mexican place, I always get the El Pastor when I order.
Say that again. That was
no.
I love when you talk all Mexican like.
That was a good. As a half-breed Mexican, that was a very good pronunciation. I'm very impressed.
Appreciate it. Yeah. It's my favorite food group. I am also a pastor, so double entendre or whatever. I don't know whatever that means. But
the El Pastor.
But I was looking at it, and it looks like it's made from a trompo. And I walked up and I was like, "Do you have one?" And he's like, "What?" And I was like, "The actual El Pastor." And he's like, "Oh no." And I was like, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, nobody really orders al pastor here. And he's like, nah, we go through like 10 pounds a week. And if we wanted to do that, we would have to do that like per day. And I was like, well, you mimic it really well. Because it does. It looks like it's cut in strips the way you would get it off of one of those.
Yeah, you shave it off the roller thing.
I was a little disappointed, but when I heard the reason why, because he's like, if we went through more, we would absolutely do it. But I was a little disappointed, but I was actually impressed that they do a mimic of it so well that I actually was like looking at it and it looks like it's.
I haven't had food yet, but you're really.
Well, now you're going to be craving good food.
Yep.
Good food.
Yep.
All right. I indoctrinated. Well, I didn't really indoctrinate. He came to me and he was like, "Hey, I want to make some birria tacos. Would you have a recipe or whatever?" And I was like, no, because I just wing it when I make it because that's how I do everything. I was like, I'll try. And he's like, well, let me find a recipe and tell me what you do different. And so he gave me a recipe and I was like, you need to change this, do this, do this, this. And then he made it. And he's like, this was like life-changing good. This is so amazing. And I was like, yes, it is. But
I mean, if there's one thing that we know, it's food.
Yeah. Shout out TBK. He's awesome. So one time when he was driving through Nebraska, he was like, "Hey, what are some good food places to eat at?" And I was like, "You got to stop in Lexington at either Los Jalapenos or Rus Taquiera." And so he stopped at Los Jalapenos, and he said that it was almost the best burrito he had ever had. And he lives in Chicago, where they have like really good Mexican
Lexington.
food.
Lexington is like if you want good Mexican. Were you the one that told me, or did you tell me that somebody else told you that it's basically like the best Mexican or the most good Mexican you can get north of like Texas?
Pretty much, yeah. It's because if you think practically through it, it's because they have the Tyson chicken plant.
Yep.
And so the population of Lexington is like, I feel like I asked somebody once, and it's like
60%.
It's like 60% Mexican from
lot.
and a lot of them are from Mexico.
Gotcha.
So it makes sense that they have good Mexican because they're from Mexico.
So when we go, when we go to Colorado to visit my dad's side of our family, there's a really awesome Mexican restaurant in Wellington where my dad lives, and we go there. And we went there a few weeks ago, and we ordered the molcajete with it was like a seafood molcajete, and it was pretty good, and it was just hot and sizzly and awesome, and because this place is amazing. But I'm sitting next to my daughter Macy, and she's ordering first, so she orders it, and they ask her, "Do you want the spicy?" And then he gets this big teethy grin, and she's like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Oh." So then I got to do the spicy because I can't.
You can't be one up.
I can't be. I had to man up. That was so They were making fun of me because I was sweating. Dude, my armpits were spicy. It was. It was so hot.
That's saying a lot because
and I like spicy. She just plowed through it. And I'm sitting there looking at her, waiting for her to give up, and she's a beast, man. She got through it. It was spicy.
Down some spicy things.
I mean, this wasn't spicy. This was spicy. It was hot.
Did you get? Did you know you can get it's intoxicated by spice?
Yeah, spice drunk.
Yeah,
dude, I was. Yeah, it was rough. Like I said, I was literally for the next 2 hours just sweating.
Oh my gosh.
Just sitting there. It was hot.
As soon as I get home,
it was delicious.
I'm gonna order another bottle of the God Slayer. Did you ever try that?
I think so.
Okay, I couldn't remember if you did or not. I thought I had you try something else.
It might have been
if I had you.
God
God Slayer. It's literally, I can't remember what the Scoville rating is supposed to be on it. It advertises as like 9 million or something it's stupid hot. But the title of it is God Slayer, and then underneath is just effing hot sauce.
Nice.
Dude, that stuff is ridiculous.
We used to have, when I was in college, there was a chicken wing place called Cluck You Chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they had 911 wings. You had to sign a waiver to get these wings. It was pure capsaicin. It was capsaicin oil. This is what they fried it in, capsaicin oil. We ate one and we were done eating for the day. It was ridiculous. No flavor at all.
Yeah.
Just tastes like unseasoned fried chicken that just destroys your mouth.
Does that place still exist? Because it existed when I was at college.
They're closed down now.
God Slayer
that place
like
was
death.
I like that place.
Yeah, it was cool. It was
kind of sketchy.
Yeah, well, it was like a hometown kind of place. It wasn't like a commercial.
If you came in from out of town, you'd be questioning.
If you asked them to make something, they would totally do whatever. It was kind of like it was a cool place.
Big City Burrito.
Yo, I love Big City Burrito. Oh yeah,
it's very very.
They franchised
local.
out. There's a few of them now.
I saw that. I saw there was one when we.
And they always had like 40 different kinds of hot sauces just laying around, and they were always changing. They would just.
I wonder if they'll put one in the Smithsonian.
when I tore my patellar tendon,
I bet they do.
You can keep trying. I'm going to keep this.
Okay, I'm fine. I don't care. We can talk about whatever you want. I don't care.
When I tore my patellar tendon, we were actually going to go to a Big City Burrito right after it because Courtney's never had it, and so we were going to go to that, and then we ended up not because we had to go to the hospital.
And they've been around forever. They were around before. They make giant burritos like Qdoba and Chipotle, but they were around long before those guys were.
They're so good.
It was so good.
I'm gonna have to.
It was like the homemade version of that.
When Courtney and I go through to Springs next time, we'll have to stop on our way through and get one. Anyway,
it's in Colorado though. It always you walk in there, it just smelled like a substance. It smelled like Colorado. When you walk in there, even before things were legal.
Yeah. Dude, Lord,
it just smelled like that in there.
Yep. Colorado is okay.
More specifically, I hate Denver. I mean, I hate all of Colorado, but I really hate Denver.
So, your attempts to bring us back on track.
Attempt, singular.
You made an attempt. He made an attempt.
Fail. Oh, he did? Oh, yeah, he kind of did.
Food, man. We can't stop talking about food. All right, no more food. No more food.
Anyway. We do tracking. We gotta get onto the subject because Okay, so the episode today, we're talking about the Smithsonian and all things with the Smithsonian. And we were going to do a two-parter, so we have a lot of content. So we still might do a two-parter.
Right.
But we'll have to see. Man, the Smithsonian, it was a fun rabbit hole to go down.
There's so many rabbit holes. Like I had to pick and choose which ones I wanted to go down.
So,
yeah,
how when we talked about Tartaria, and we talked about how everything kind of became a catch-all for a bunch of different conspiracy theories.
Yeah,
I feel like, but with Tartaria, I feel like 90% of them are probably wrong and 10% are correct. But because of the weird conglomeration, it gets muddied. I feel like the Smithsonian is the exact opposite. There's so many conspiracy theories related to Smithsonian, but I feel like they all feed off of each other to build a case of more accuracy almost. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Definitely more plausibility.
So
I think.
It's a catch-all, but there's a reality and there's a source behind everything.
And there doesn't seem to be like a whole lot of effort to try to disprove it. They're kind of like they kind of just let them happen. They're like, well, I don't know. You guys believe whatever you want to believe. Like it's so crazy.
The thing that I was running into was there's not a lot of hard evidence for a lot of things, but there's also very little hard evidence against the vast majority of it.
Yeah.
Like there just wasn't anything to refute it. It's not like, very little anyway. It's maybe.
Or they'd be like, no, you're wrong. And then just walk away.
Yeah. But the Smithsonian's response is always the same to all of them. And it's, we have no record of that, so it did not exist.
Almost word for word, like every time, everything I found, that was their response.
Even when you find tangible, actual physical evidence that's contrary, we looked. It's not there.
We looked, and we can't find any evidence on what you're talking about.
I don't know. There's cases where like they documented that they came out, and they'll even say, "Yeah, we came out, but we didn't find anything." But in the reality is, they came out, they took something, they brought it back, and then later on, there's a case where they did come get something and they were like, oh, there was nothing there. We didn't find anything. And then they were like, we have documentation and proof that you did pick it up. And they're like, we must have misplaced it. And then they'll go look and be like, oh, we found the one that I was thinking of was like, we found the grave tombs, but there was nothing inside. So we don't know what happened to it. What?
Yeah.
they don't even try.
Yeah. It's crazy for having as much money as they have and the resources and the people that they have working on certain things, and then to just come home empty-handed as much as they allegedly do is
right.
I feel like you could almost just start throwing crap at the wall as far as like theories and just see what they say. Like
just see how they respond.
Yeah, if they don't refute it hard, you know what? Maybe I was right.
Yeah.
Like I want to do that. I want to just throw darts at a board.
Maybe they've analyzed, like what Phil talks about all the time, that the harder you fight it, the more I think that you're full of it.
Right.
Maybe they've realized that, and so maybe that's why they don't fight it as much.
Yeah,
they're like,
no, that's not real.
Because I'll tell you what, before I started listening to you guys and talking to you guys about stuff, I didn't know half of this stuff with the Smithsonian. I didn't, it was just a really big museum. Was kind of my thoughts. Yeah.
I still haven't, and this harkens back to what we talked about a minute ago with the lack of evidence against, with also lack of evidence for. I still feel fairly confident. I traced back. I feel a little scatterbrained right now. I'm sorry. Did you guys look into like the origin of the Smithsonian?
Yeah,
okay,
I was.
Perfect.
Yes.
Good. Great.
I was going to say, let's go ahead and start with the origin. That's perfect. Did you look into it at all?
Yeah, I did. So I took it a step further. So, for anybody who doesn't know, the Smithsonian was founded by James Smithson, which, taking it back to like the origin of names, Smith was probably the son of a Smith, except for I traced him all the way back to where we lose track, which was, what was his name? Hugh Smithson, I think. Hugh Smithson? I think that's right. Who was given basically... I can't remember the term for becoming a baron. Baroncy? something like that.
Sounds right to me. Sounds right to me.
It was something like that. He became baron.
His baroning. He became baronized. Okay, well, I'm with you, man.
Baronated.
You got baronated. I like baronated. Let's run with that.
He was baronated by I believe Charles II because he supported him in a campaign. He was like a duke in Yorkshire, and he basically was like, when Charles II became whatever king, he was like, you're a baron now. And so that money and that whatever you want to call it, the help word.
What?
Legacy. The legacy.
I thought he needed help. Like we were.
I can't help you, bud.
I already told you I have no rescue instincts. Like I was just gonna see what happened. Oh man.
I was thinking of my next point, and so I wasn't listening. You're like, what was the word?
Sure.
I was like, what?
I just hear Phil over there going, help.
I didn't sleep, and it's showing.
Oh, anyway. Ooh, I'm glad you're okay. All right. Legacy.
That legacy floated down for a few generations. That was in like 1500s, I think, mid 1500s. Floated all the way down to James Smith's son, who was an illegitimate child of whoever the crap, whichever baron duke guy that was, baronated. And then he was like, I want to go to this brand new friggin' place across the Atlantic, America, and build a museum dedicated to science and humanities and all the stuff. And that was just what he did. Why? I don't know. Nobody knows. He never said.
He never stepped foot in America.
What? I missed that part.
He gave the money and had never stepped foot in America.
Now, did he give the money or did he give the money?
He died. When he died, he gave his estate to America basically to create this.
So it was 1836, I think,
46.
that was 36 when he initiated.
Oh, yeah.
Like
okay.
He began the process of trying to get this institute built. And then it took like 10 years before, and I think it was about the time he passed, Congress was like, oh, yeah, that thing that this dude wanted to do, it's done. We're doing it.
Yeah, we'll accept it.
Cool.
We'll do this thing. Yeah.
So
crazy thought. Maybe was he hard coerced into spending his money on this project that the government was going to take over?
Well, super random.
His only heir was a nephew who passed away before he did. So he had no heir.
Seems a little.
So the theory,
letter agency.
The mainstream theory, I agree. The mainstream theory is that he wanted to create an establishment without the old world influence.
By using old world money.
Basically.
I have a cooler.
So much.
I have a cooler theory.
What's that?
Okay. So I didn't find hard evidence for it, but there's no hard evidence.
Yeah, we don't do evidence on this show.
But there's no real evidence. But there's no real evidence against it, and there was. He's listed on their site as a notable person, Freemasons. Now
that's my thought process.
I 100%. I think that's. I 100% think that's the case.
I do too, and I think that the people who accepted the money were. Also.
I had trouble filtering out because every time, even on Brave, every time I typed in "was so and so a Freemason," AI's like, "Yep, totally."
Yeah.
Now maybe AI is right, and I can't prove it, but nothing else said it.
The most difficult part about Freemasonry is that they don't have to tell whether they are or not.
Right.
So a lot of people are that don't actively tell.
Correct.
And yeah.
Did you come across anything about Alexander Graham Bell and his relationship / involvement with him? So I didn't find much on this. And maybe it was just a rumor, maybe it was just something AI filtered out somehow. But I came across a tidbit that said Alexander Graham Bell, who was also allegedly maybe a Freemason.
I feel like I've heard that. Yeah.
Was the one who arranged shipping his remains back to wherever he wanted them to be.
Oh, okay.
And so I don't know if they had, if they were involved, like if they worked together in a scientific manner. I don't know. I wasn't able to find much on that, like, at all. But I just came across that tidbit and thought it was interesting. So that was another connection, and that was kind of the main connection that I think AI found that was like, yeah, I think he was probably a Freemason. So I don't know. But I just feel like that it makes sense too, right? Like even the naming. Smith, I mentioned this a few episodes back when we talked about Freemasonry, or when we first mentioned the Smithsonian, but Smiths and Masons, you know, the builders and
right.
I
remember that connection.
It tracks.
Yeah,
it just tracks, right?
Yeah,
it just feels natural. I think that's the case.
Even if he wasn't confirmed a Freemason, it is well established that his background does include memberships in secret societies.
Yeah.
So he's in some secret societies. Guaranteed. It's confirmed.
His whole lineage is like connected to old world power. And that's it. Just
and so the theory is that he gave the money in order to shape the narrative in the new world.
Well, because who creates the narrative? The Smithsonian, who has all the evidence and could say what it means. Yeah. So let's kind of bring to current terms or current times. So the Smithsonian is started by this guy, and even the start of it is weird. Mm-hmm. But right off the bat, the government accepts the money, but then they create this museum. But instead of it being a part of the government initially, they gave it its own, basically its own identity, it's a private, at this time at least, it was a private museum. And the reason it's a private museum, in my mind, is because private museums don't have to disclose their expenditures and their purchases and what they're doing. Right.
So it gets to hide under this veil of lack of disclosure early on. And so it's founded, they begin the process of creating this, but the catch is, so it's its own entity, but on its board are presidents, vice presidents, and senators. Mm-hmm. So the government is running this museum that is a nonprofit, basically.
So that
weird, right?
Brings me to the next.
A little
thing.
weird. Why isn't it just a government entity then?
That brings me to my next thing that I wanted to bring up. I thought this was interesting because I just wanted to see. I was thinking the same thing that you're thinking about, like the connection between.
What time frame are you going to talk?
2023.
Okay, hold on for just a split second, and then you can go.
Okay.
So during that initial creation between 1946 and 1846 and 1860s, the vast majority of Native American artifacts and remains were collected during that time period. They went out in force initially and collected everything they could get their hands on and brought it back to the museum and put it in storage, basically.
Yeah.
So if there was a cover-up of trying to hide the intelligence and the advanced knowledge of the local natives during that initial window is when they collected and started the process of hiding that information. And that is I feel like almost is no longer a conspiracy. I feel like we know that the Smithsonian did hide the advancement or the wisdom and the knowledge of the local natives.
Yeah, and I think
that's
it's
almost
just,
like common.
It's pretty much accepted that they were trying to create the narrative that they were savages, that they were, less than intelligent humans.
Yeah,
and
Yeah,
exactly.
And they successfully did that for a.
Do you think
for a long time?
That was right off the bat. That was one of the very first things they did.
Yeah, definitely.
So why is a museum right off the bat trying to hide? Trying to hide how advanced the local natives are?
it's almost like it's not just a museum.
It's almost like it was never created to be a museum.
Yeah. Hey,
anyway,
do you think there's anything? Well, while we're on that topic, do you think there's anything else they might have tried to hide around that time frame, like the late 1800s? Do you want to get to that later? Or you want to get to that now?
That's great. That's actually next on my notes. The very next era of the 1870s to the 1920s is when all of the reports of the Smithsonian going out, finding giants, bringing their remains back, and then pretending like it never happened.
What?
All of those reports come from between the 1870s and the 1920s.
So
immediately after they were doing that with the Native Americans.
And so to take a step back to what you mentioned before about them not really like pushing back against things, that's the one thing that I found that they really push back against. Or like at least
the giant.
They tried to discredit everybody.
Maybe not them personally,
they tried to discredit everybody.
But there's like everywhere you try to poke in that direction, it's just no, and you're stupid for thinking that, and here's all of the reasons that that's not true.
Yeah,
except for
I found an Abraham Lincoln quote where he talked about them finding giants' bones. Abraham Lincoln went on record to say we have these giants, these bones of this 12-foot giant, and he went on record to say
address.
that. Yeah, during an address to the nation.
It was at the Niagara Falls.
He did that one.
And during his speech, he talked about the giants that created filled the holes and created the mounds in this country, or something along those lines. And so he's quoted as talking about the giant bones they found and the giants that were in America. So
I was trying to poke in that direction, and
that would have been 1809 to 1865. So right in that window.
I kind of found a trend of misdirection, and by misdirection I mean literally like I would there was a link that was titled one thing and it would take me to something else.
I saw that a lot.
Did you find that? Okay, so I came across, now there was a guy that wrote a very nice article. His name was Micah Hanks. His website, he seemed to have done a pretty thorough search into this, initially wanting to believe in the giant stuff, and then kind of backing down and saying, I found this and this and this, and this kind of supports it and this kind of supports it, but there's not really that much there, and so I'm not really a full believer in this, except for the reason that I clicked onto the link that took me to his page was I clicked a thing that was supposed to take me to an article from the Bureau of Ethnology to the Secretary of the Smithsonian in 1894, talking about the giant discoveries and findings.
What year was that?
1894.
Okay, that's right in the... is that the one in L.A.? The L.A. Times reported?
I think so. I don't remember.
Where was it found? In San Diego?
That doesn't sound quite right.
Okay.
This one might have been... I think this one was Tennessee.
Okay, then that same year, there's a different report. Yeah.
Okay. Gone. I literally looked through every volume of the Bureau of Ethnology. That article's not listed.
That's great.
It's not there. I can't find it. The link that was supposed to take me there took me to a different page that kind of like grays it out and blends it into like, well, it's not totally unreasonable to believe in some of this, and there is some support, but overall it looks like I dug really into this myself, and I just don't think it's really like the Smithsonian didn't hide this. The link takes you to a totally different place.
Yeah.
I was like, what
one of the YouTube videos I came across is along those lines too. I came across this YouTube video interviewing this older woman, and she had a collection of like local newspaper clippings from across the country of reports of finding giants' remains during whatever time, but she said she and it was a short little snippet and stuff, so there wasn't a whole lot to it, but she said she had over 1,000 articles from United States newspapers, from local newspapers, talking about somebody found some giant bones.
That's so when I was looking, the two things that I noticed that were really peculiar to me was anytime I even looking through podcasts and stuff, I found one podcast that talked about the controversies of the Smithsonian. Every single other one talked about the history of it or this thing that they did or whatever. But then eventually, so if doing some digging and like looking through articles and stuff like that and using different search engines, I was able to find that I could actually verify 3 different articles where they uncovered a giant, and in the article, they sent it to the Smithsonian. And then the story disappeared. And then the Smithsonian denied. One was in 1877. A 12-foot skeleton was unearthed in a coal mine in Ohio. In 1894, the LA Times, the actual LA Times, reported a 9-foot skeleton was found in a burial mound in San Diego. And the Smithsonian came out to investigate, took the stuff with it. The story disappeared. And then in 1912, Charles Dawson uncovered bones in Wisconsin at a mound and shipped them to the Smithsonian for them because he didn't work for the Smithsonian.
Nice.
I'm all right, guys.
Burr nominated.
Okay. I'm alive. I'm all right. I'm good.
Help. Now we gotta check, see if it feels okay.
I didn't think you weren't drinking anything. It had gone up your nose.
Well played, Mike.
Oh my goodness.
Anywho.
So
he didn't work for the Smithsonian.
He didn't work for the Smithsonian. He worked with the Smithsonian quite a few different times. And he alleges that he worked with them, but they like originally he wanted to, but they wouldn't hire him. And then eventually they tried to hire him and he was like, it's too late. You're going to hide everything. Cause like he got frustrated basically. That's kind of his story. But those 3 specific instances, the articles and the information still is traceable and you can still find it and it's still published and it's still like known. But the Smithsonian claims that none of those events ever happened. They never sent anybody out to retrieve stuff. They never retrieved stuff. Or in one case of those 3, I think it was one of the 3, they came out, they took the artifacts back to the Smithsonian. The Smithsonian had acknowledged they had taken the stuff back, but they couldn't place where the remains were. And then years later, they then came out and said, we found and this is where I was talking about earlier, where they said we found the burial,
mountains,
the caskets or whatever they were.
Yeah.
We found those, but they're empty and there's nothing in them. So I don't think we ever got them.
Right. Huh.
Why would they send empty caskets to the Smithsonian to be investigated?
Okay. I got a question. Did you look into, other than we all know it's a museum, did you look into what else the Smithsonian does functionally? What they
so
do?
Much.
Okay. There's 7 departments, right? 7 overall departments. Could you find anything about what they actually do? Their research, their other than surface level, this is our mission statement, beyond that, things that they do?
Not just things that they do that people say they do.
Yeah.
Not necessarily that they claim they do.
Okay. So, but other than that, were you able to find anything really deeper than that? Mm-mm. Me neither. Do you find that weird? I find that weird. Really weird.
It's a museum.
So to bring right?
Yeah.
So to bring it to present day, or pretty close to present day.
Ooh, I'm good with present day.
I just wanted to know what programs specifically the U.S. government and the Smithsonian had collaborated on. And so I just looked up collaborative efforts between the U.S. government and the Smithsonian. And there was a link on state.gov/whatever. It was an article about continuing an agreement between the government and Smithsonian. And when I clicked the link, the article's gone. It just doesn't exist. I couldn't, and maybe it was just a glitch, state stuff, but kind of convenient, right?
Yeah.
So the synopsis of it was, and this is just like the little thing below the link that Google or Brave or whatever search engine you're saying shows you. It said December 20th, 2023. On December 19th, Secretary of State Anthony J. Blinkton and Secretary of the Smithsonian Lonnie G. I think I have that wrong. I think that auto-corrected. Bulch, I don't know. The second signed a memorandum of understanding, or MOU, to expand future collaboration between their two organizations, bringing the world-class ellipses. That was all that there was. That article is gone. I haven't checked it. I haven't checked since last night. But
so kind of tying those together, going back to what Tanner was talking about, trying to find videos or articles about specifically the Smithsonian, so hard to find. But just about any of the conspiracy theories I've looked up, just about any of them, at some point in there, the Smithsonian, especially historically based, the Smithsonian's name pops up somewhere in either the video or in the article. But so if you kind of reverse search some of those things, that's interesting.
Smart. That's smart.
That they're the Smithsonian's in everything, but to just look them up, like there is no information out there.
It's hard. So
it's just this black hole.
So speaking of present day, this is a museum. Okay, its current board of
air quotes.
Yes, its current board of regents responsible for the administration of this museum are the Chief Justice of the United States and which now it's different, but so I guess this would have been last year. The Vice President of the United States. So why is the Chief Justice and the Vice President responsible for this random museum that was started as a nonprofit? Why? It's weird, okay? So, continuing. 3 members of Senate, 3 members of the House, and then 9 citizens that those people appoint. That constitutes the board of the Smithsonian.
And no specifics on who those 9 people.
Why would there be?
You know what I mean? Because most of the time with a board, when it's loose like that and then you get to nominate, it's like we need to nominate from different demographics. We need we need a parent, we need a kid, we need a police officer, we need there was just 9 of your besties.
Does the Smithsonian at large just give you the same vibe as like a movie where like there's you think there's this whole world happening in front of you, and then you like walk up to touch it, and it's just a freaking projector and a bed sheet? Like that's the vibe that I get from this. It's just like it's presented as just this thing that everybody knows. Oh yeah, it's the Smithsonian. It's the museum where you can go see all the cool stuff.
What do we got? What do we got to do to go see those other levels?
Nothing.
That's what I want to know.
Like, what do they do?
Okay, so we definitely have enough for a part 2. So to end, so like
I have a final thing, final thought.
So then
it can be on the way out. It doesn't have to be before the outro, but just.
Oh no, you're
let
good.
Me have a second.
Go ahead.
Okay, so one of their things that they have mentioned that they have a collaboration with is they have a joint venture with Harvard, which is an astrophysical observatory, and I just wonder what they know about aliens. UAP, UFO, whatever.
Gone into space.
I just wonder, like with all the other stuff that they seem to be ahead on. So
the Smithsonian, one snippet that we talked about while we were working out was they claim to have, like they acknowledge that they have over 135 million artifacts.
Yeah.
And no more than 2% of them have ever been on display.
And what I saw said less than 1% of what they currently have is on display.
Yeah.
At any given time. Have ever been on display.
Insane.
Less than 1%. And they have a $10 million budget, $10 million a year budget to run.
But they have these museum. Priceless artifacts. And well, so have you guys ever been to the Smithsonian?
I have not.
No.
I have.
Ooh.
I have been to the Smithsonian, and maybe next week I'll get into a little bit more of my experience at
they cloned
the Smithsonian.
Yeah.
But they
Men in Black zapped him.
Yeah.
So he forgot everything.
So have you ever been to a museum that like is too spaced out? Like, you know that there's room for them to put more stuff on display, but like for some reason there's just like nothing on display.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Smithsonian's like that.
Okay.
Like, I don't know if they're trying to anticipate large crowds or what, but it is so spaced out that they have this. And the only reason I'm sharing this aspect of it now, I want to get into more of my experiences at the Smithsonian, but they have 135 million plus whatever artifacts. They have plenty of room to put them on display.
Yeah.
So by the fact that if there's whether it's 2% or less than 1%, I might look into that a little bit more, and we'll come with the definitive answer.
Yeah.
So let's just say 1%. So if 1% of those artifacts have been on display, it is not for a lack of space. It's not for a lack of desire.
Right. And surely they have enough stuff to make, to fill a theme. Yeah. And you can't be thematic.
Right.
I don't know.
There is plenty of room. That's fact, interesting. I'll have to dig out some pictures if I can find them. They might have been in the stack that got ruined from our parents' house, but even in the pictures, it looks weird how spaced out everything is.
Yeah,
it's really weird. But they also have the bulk of what they have on display are some of the most controversial things. Like, do you remember the Blue Heart diamond that
the one that got thrown in the ocean?
Yeah, but it actually exists, and allegedly every person who has ever touched it passed away within a few weeks of touching it.
Yeah,
even the mailman who delivered it to the Smithsonian died.
Yeah,
a couple weeks after he delivered it. That's on full display. That's one of the things on display. The flag that Harriet Tubman or whatever sewed?
Yeah.
But then we find out, is it Harriet Tubman?
No, that is not
who's the
Betsy Ross.
Betsy Ross, there we go. Harriet Tubman was a slave.
Underground Railroad.
Underground Railroad, yeah.
I was totally ready to agree, too. Like, you sounded so convincing. I was like, yeah.
So, okay.
Thank you, Phil.
So the flag that allegedly Betsy Ross sewed is on display, but now we learned that Betsy Ross didn't actually sew the flag, the American flag.
Right,
yeah.
So the Smithsonian has the flag that somebody didn't actually sew on display as they restore it.
See, this is the problem. Imagine being the puppet master behind all this, like the dude that has to keep all this crap straight. Like, okay, this is real, this is fake, that's real, that's fake, this is fake, this is no, that's all fake, no, that's fake. Oh crap, what the heck? Like,
right?
Yeah,
this is all.
But
I'm sure it's not just a dude either.
But
I'm sure, but like,
yeah, I think what you're saying.
But the Smithsonian has been around since the 1800s, and if anybody should be the voice of legitimacy, it should be the Smithsonian.
Should be.
Bro.
But
yeah,
so many things that they have are being proven wrong that now them as the authority is fully into question, not even because of not even because of the Giants thing, but them hoarding and changing the history of Native Americans.
Yeah.
Hoarding. They have millions of artifacts that they will not give back.
Right. Yeah.
Why?
Yep.
Why will they not give it back to the rightful owners?
Mega theory time. What if the reason that we're being gaslit so much by random companies and people is because they know that information is getting too widespread and it's all going to come crashing down, and they're getting us ready to be receptive to like massive degrees of gaslighting. Like, history as you thought you know it is crap. It's a lie. Right. This is real.
Right.
What if all of that?
Yeah.
The American flag, the original American flag, sewn by Betsy Ross. We never said that.
Right.
We never said Betsy
we never
Ross
claimed.
sewed
We just
the
said
flag.
this was the flag. Yeah.
He burned all the Macmillan McGraw-Hill books.
Right.
Oh, did we talk?
Well,
we talked about this a little bit,
yeah, we did.
Yeah.
So exactly, and that's actually a solid point. But I guess we'll wrap it up on this and finish this thought of, so they should be the authority, but so many of the things that they are the authority on are now coming out, and people are going like, that's not the reality, and we're finding evidence of it not being the reality, and Native Americans being far more civilized and advanced than the Smithsonian let on. That's coming to light, and we have factual historical information coming to light, and we have all of this stuff starting to break down the exterior and going into exactly what Phil just said. The problem with it is the more that exterior breaks, the more convinced I am that the bulk of these theories are correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Because they should be the authority, and they've been proven time and time again to lie. But anyway, so
and lies on lies on lies is harder and harder to hide. So
that is the foundation of the history of the Smithsonian. And teaser a little bit of next week, we'll get into specific examples of things that are theorized the Smithsonian has covered up. We only got into one of 10 different major things that I have, the Giants being the one. And I guess we got into two because we got in the cover up of the Native American civilizations. So we got into 1.5 of up to 10 big controversial things that I have for next week. And we'll get into those next week. And so we'll leave you with the history of the Smithsonian, the questioning, and the sketchy background of it on this one. And next week we'll get into the actual conspiracy theories and the controversialness of it.
That'll be fun.
But one way or the other, and so just kind of leave it on this, the Smithsonian, its origin is suspicious, its existence is suspicious, and its current status of who runs it is suspicious.
Extremely dubious.
The dollar amount that they operate on, allegedly, is suspicious. And as Mike and I talked about last week, eventually when coincidences and suspicion and coincidences start to line up, it's no longer a coincidence.
Yeah.
I caught the
when
end
you have that many,
twice is a coincidence, 3 times is a pattern, I believe, is the saying. An adage. I don't remember if that's a police adage or like just a general adage.
Right.
But like that's something that people have said.
And so when you add it all up and you start to look at the exterior and you see this, what they claim is a museum, it starts to sound more like a government agency to me. It starts to feel more like MK Ultra than a museum.
Yeah.
It really does. It starts to feel more like a government program than it does.
Starts to feel like the Big I.
Yeah, it starts to feel more like a government, a program. It feels more like the government than it does a museum.
The other one.
Let alone anything else. But so with that, we encourage you, again, always do your own research. Look into this yourself. Look into the history. Let yourself come to the conclusion of, is the Smithsonian legit? Is it just a museum? Are they hiding things?
Comment how many links to things you tried to click. Dude, that sketched me out so much. Things that you try to dive deeper into and it redirects you to something else or just doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Tell me how
Let us know.
Of those. I want to.
And with that, don't forget to subscribe, do all of those things. It does help out. Join the Discord. Don't forget to vote on the energy drink who had the best from last week and this week.
It was me.
And we did have somebody comment that the prize I think the winner for the prize is maybe like a bedazzled can opener or like a bedazzled energy drink koozie or something. Maybe?
You know what? Why don't we have Macy, my artist daughter, come up with something?
Let's do that. Let's do that.
Okay. All right. We'll post pictures and stuff.
Sounds good. And with that, Mike's got the lead. I love you. Okay, bye.
In the ancient days of giants, when the earth was wild and free, a creature roamed the valleys, cloaked cloaked in mystery. Is he born of angels' blood and man, a Nephilim so tall, or a shadow of the fallen, yet heeding the Maker's call? He's a biblically accurate Bigfoot, with a lineage from the skies. Not a myth or legend, but a truth that never dies. Is he a remnant of the Nephilim, a titan standing tall? Or does he have the word of God upon him, the last to hear the call?